Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for again. Thanks again for joining me for another live Q&A. Coffee is needed. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel here on YouTube is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some techniques and tips and tricks that I use every day in my own voiceover business. And then I answer your questions in these weekly live Q&As, and I think these have turned into something very beautiful actually. We have a nice group of people that join every week, and I love this community, and I'm so happy to have this platform to be able to pay it forward. And everything that I have learned in creating and developing my own business, that I get to give some of that back to those of you with the same dreams and aspirations. So thanks again. But if you are not new, if you are new here, if you're not new here, if you're not new here, God, did you know that every week that I have a poll? In this week's poll, good God, this is going to be a good one. I can tell already. This week's poll is. Where does most of your voiceover or audiobook work come from? There's a lot of different ways in which to find work or have work find you. Where do you get most of that? And the responses that I've got on here, we've got 10 votes so far, but the options that I have for you, and if none of these apply, please share where most of your work comes from in the chat so everyone else can perhaps learn a little bit from you. But the responses are freelance sites like Fiverr, Upwork, where freelancers can come and find work of all types, not just voiceover, really. So Fiverr, Upwork, ACX, Guru, Freelancer, freelance sites like that. Direct clients or email, they work directly with you, not off any kind of platform, just directly with you. If they come from an agent, or if they come from voiceover casting sites like voices.com, Voice123, Badalgo, Voice Bunny, Voice Jungle, Voquint. There are a lot of voiceover casting sites. And I had to abbreviate with acronyms because you're limited in character space on that line. So that's what VDC V123 stand for, voices.com and Voice123. So where does most of your work come from? And it looks like the majority of you say freelance sites like Fiverr, ACX, and Upwork. That's interesting. And then 80% of you said direct clients or email. And then another 8% of you said VO casting sites. So it looks like most of us get work from non-agent. So, excuse me, for those of you that get work from direct, did you market to those clients via email or some other form, or do you have a social media presence, perhaps in which those clients found you? I'd like to know. And I'm sure everyone else here in the chat would like to know as well. Please share where those clients came from. That would be helpful for all of us. That actually just jumped up from, now we have 13 votes. 77% of you said freelance sites, 15% of you said direct, and 8% for the VO casting sites, 0 for agents. Interesting. All right, so let's hop on over to the comments and see who is here. And Louie, of course. Thank you, Louie. Thank you so much for the super chat. He says, what's Angela in the house? Maybe what's up, Angela in the house? Which t-shirt post did you like best? Hope you're cool with those. I'll stop if you want me to. Hi, everyone. Louis is referring to these really cool. I forgot to mention this to you, Louis. I have been seeing the posts that you've been putting up in my Facebook group, and they are so creative, and I'm so flattered that you take the time to do that. I really do appreciate that. You can do them if you want to, but as you know, I'm not one to sort of plug myself, or I'm not really big on soliciting to I mean, I don't know. You can do them if you want to. They don't bother me as long as they're not bugging anybody else, but I really like them. They're so creative and I appreciate the time you took to make them. So, thank you so much for that. Um Scroll back up here to the top. Thank you again for the super chat, Louie. I appreciate you. James is also here from the Great White North. And then we have Ruthie here. Hello, Ruthie, from sunny and chilly Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's actually below, it's like 75 here in Phoenix. It's sweater weather for us desert folk. Anything below 76 or perhaps even 80. When you're in the desert, your blood thins out and you get cold super easy. Or maybe it's just me. I don't know. Ruthie says, oops, I just clicked off of you. Ruthie says, my audio sounds very tinny. How do you fix it? I'm brand new and just getting to know Adobe Audition. Usually, if your audio comes out sounding tinny, it's because we're a little bit too heavy on the noise reduction. That is typically what it is. So, whatever noise reduction process that you're using, go a little bit lighter on it. From personal experience, one of the problems that I had in the beginning after, figuring out all of the fine tuning of everything, the gain for your microphone needs to be high enough to process it properly to get to the end result volume that you need, right? But then also in doing that, it increases your noise floor. And then in decreasing the noise floor, if you're doing audiobooks, as you know, that needs to be below negative 60 dB. So there's the problem, right? You need your volume, your dialogue volume needs to be loud enough to get it to process properly. But then your noise floor also comes up with the volume. So what do? If you can't reduce that noise floor using any of the noise reduction techniques without it coming out sounding tinny or just totally destroyed, you might have to figure out where the noise is coming from. Usually, again, from personal experience, what it was for me was the sound of my computer fan was causing my noise floor to be extremely high. So I had to move my computer away outside of my recording space, which addressed my noise floor issue, but then still allowed me to have my gain high enough to have the volume of the dialogue to process properly, to be at, somewhere between -6 and -3 as an end result volume. So there are some noise reduction techniques in Adobe Audition that I use and have used and do recommend, but you have to do those sparingly to start to make sure that they aren't destroying your voice. Those videos are here on YouTube. I've made some videos on just these noise reduction techniques here on YouTube. And something else just came to mind and then it flew away, but I think that's typically what it is the tinny sound as a result of too much noise reduction. So I hope that helps. I do see that you do have Adobe Audition, so I have a handful of videos here that may help you here on my channel in walking through that process. Big AO 920, hello from Texas. Hello, hello. Good morning, good morning. Michael V says, I don't have any VO work yet. Well, why not? Why not, Michael? Big AO, or it could be a big A 0920. But I did get my first turned down offer from ACX. Yeah, and that's going to happen. Your voice isn't going to be perfect for every project, but it doesn't mean that that the issue is necessarily you. It's not necessarily your performance or your audio quality. It in most cases it's just not your voice isn't what they were looking for. So you do more auditions. It's a numbers game. The more auditions you submit, the better your chances of getting a job offer. So don't let no thank you letters or, what do they call them? I can't think of the word. What is wrong with me today? Brain fog is really hitting hard today. But if you get any kind of refusal letters or, I mean, or no thank yous. Don't let that bug you too much. Just let it roll right off your back and keep going. Mike Christensen is here. Hi from chilly St. Cloud, Minnesota. Morning. Good morning. Allison Bennett says, just getting started. I've auditioned for 6 projects on ACX with a wide variety of genres. Some I will want to use a pseudonym. Do I get to choose my name at the end of the project? You do. When you submit your book, there'll be a pop-up that comes up on ACX asking if that is the name you want to use. Is the spelling correct? That sort of thing. At that point, you can use a pseudonym if you want to. But in the very beginning, if you decide, like I'm talking before even the job offer comes through, if you're talking with the rights holder before the job offer, and you're considering using a pseudonym at that point, I would definitely let the rights holder know. Some rights holders want to have special cover art for their audiobooks, and they will list the narrator on that cover art. So if you're going to use a pseudonym, let them know so that that way their cover art or however else they plan on promoting the audiobook doesn't have the name you don't want on it, that everything is the pseudonym. So keep that in mind as well, but you can change it when you submit the book, when you're done recording it and you're submitting all of the files and you click I'm done, that pop-up will come up and say, hey, is this spelled right? Is this the right name? And then at that point you can change it. Big A, is it AO or A0? A0920? Only up from here, right? Exactly. Exactly. I couldn't even tell you how many no thank you letters I got. You just keep going. Just keep going. And then you continue on. My issue is needing to find the right EQ. I have a very deep, bassy voice. You might want to consider having an audio engineer work with you on finding the right EQ. Even after 2 years of playing with that, playing with this, tweaking and changing and updating and adding plugins and learning new techniques, I was never happy with my EQ. It wasn't until I reached out to Tim Tippett, who is an audio engineer and a voice artist, had him help me make some shortcuts in my Adobe Audition and help me also make a customized EQ, which was a big help. But there are a handful of really great people out there to contact to do just that with, I think most of them will work with a handful of DAWs. So reaching out to an audio engineer might be your best bet. It is definitely worth the investment. If you don't have, that's just one less thing you have to worry about on each of your files, right? Each of your audio voiceover projects or audiobooks. It's just to go, okay, yeah, I know it's right now. It's going to address my sibilance. It's going to, enhance my highs, enhance my lows, whatever it is that you need. Maybe even help reduce some room noise. And EQ can do a lot more than I ever thought it could. So reaching out to an audio engineer might be something on the horizon for you to make you feel better and more confident about your end results. Zombie corn, I love that. Good morning. I just accepted my first ACX offer. Congratulations. Hold on. You guys, hang on. You guys know I have to do this. Hold on. Hold on. Where's the button? Congratulations. I, I'm a dork. What can I say? How do you deal with slow or unresponsive rights holders when working with ACX? You just keep going. Just keep going. If you're waiting on them to approve it or something like that, and you're emailing them or, chatting with them or whatever it is, and they're just not responding, weeks have gone by, perhaps even a month. I would reach out to ACX and let them know what is going on. Um, I mean, it could be just like us. Life happens sometimes with rights holders. Sometimes they get busy. Sometimes they get sick. Sometimes they have family emergencies. I mean, who knows? Maybe their emails are falling into their spam folder, so they're not even realizing that you're trying to communicate with them. It could be a number of things. So if it's been a long time, weeks, months, I would definitely get ACX involved just so they know, and keep trying to get a hold of them and to push it through. But congratulations on your first offer. Keep going. Mike Christensen says, Angela, so many helpful videos for those of us getting started in VO. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts. Well, you're welcome. I'm so glad that you guys find them helpful. Again, I'm just trying to share what I learn, right? I found YouTube to be instrumental in helping me to get to where I am. So I'm adding to the pot, so to speak. I'm adding to the mix of information to be found here. So I'm glad that it's helpful for you. Is it big A 0920 or is it big AO? Anyway, new here. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for joining. I am Paximus. Hello, Angela. Tuesdays are for a cup of Java and contemplation. They are. They are. And they're also for live Q&As with Angela. Or a cup of Java, contemplation, and then live Q&As with Angela, or maybe all simultaneously. Mhm. Doug Back says, hello from Doug McCraw, Greensboro, North Carolina. My daughter, 16, also wants to get into VO. Also, is there much work for teens? Um, I d- Most of my filters are set for adult and or middle-aged. So I don't see much work for teens, but that doesn't mean that it's not out there. If you take a look at, I would imagine yes, because there are a lot of young adult books. There's a lot of, I mean, audiobooks specifically. There are commercials and educational materials, and there's a lot of things that come to mind that would need a teen voice. And then, I mean, so if you looked at, depending on where you're looking, I suppose, if you got an agent and that agent helped you to find teen work, ACX, I'm just running through everything in my head very quickly, but I want to say yes. I want to say that there could be. I don't know for certain because, again, my filters aren't set for teen voices, but so meaning most of the notifications I get for work available only comes to me in the age groups that I specify. So I don't see any of the other work, but I'm sure there is for sure. Again, voice actors represent the world, right? And teens are part of that world. And the same goes with um, young, like children, and also the older folks, right? The older generation. And when I say older, that's relative. I mean what they call as elderly seniors, right? Which the next 10 years or so, I would be in that category too. Good gosh. James says, as far as where my work comes from, I've had exactly one job, and a friend of mine asked me to voice a YouTube video. Well, that works, right? Make sure that your friend notes that it's your voice in the video, in the description, and then perhaps include a link to find you, to hire you for voiceover work. I've had that happen a number of times where I've been noted, like my contact information was in a YouTube video description, and I've had a lot of people find me from just that. So make sure that they credit you for your voiceover work. John says, good morning, Angela. Good morning, John. Good morning, everyone. I'm starting to get some local work through much or word of mouth as well. That's great. There are local businesses where you live, right? This is another reason why I say to wear a voiceover shirt while you're out and about and just running errands around your own house and your own local community, right? Or if you want to have shirts made with your logo, that's even better because they're conversation starters. You can start talking to a local business owner while you're standing in the checkout line or wherever it is and just start a conversation. And then if they see your shirt, they may ask you a question. Are you, oh, so you're a voice artist. Well, what does that mean exactly? And then you can tell them everything that has a voice I can do. Phone messages, I can do your phone greetings. We can do instructional how-to videos on how to use, say you're in a paint store, how to apply paint or whatever it is. There's a lot of ways that you can help out in your local community, and wearing a shirt that has your logo or just, hey, I'm a voice actor on it, right? Something to start a conversation is definitely a good thing. And then doing a good job and then having that business owner get into their chamber of commerce and spread your name around to everybody else. Better yet, you get into your local chamber of commerce and, you know, get in touch or make connections with other business owners in your area. There's a lot of ways that you can do that. Introduce yourself to your local community for sure. Um, Big A says, I haven't gotten my first gig yet, unfortunately, but I did get my first turn down offer. And that happens, but just keep going. It'll come. It'll come. Just keep at it. John Popovich says, Louie in the house. Yes. Angela Thomas. Hey, great name. Happy Tuesday. Grant. Hi, Grant. Good morning, Grant. JCCAOL says, hello, Angela. We had our first snow the other day and a tornado warning the week before. That is crazy. We had a couple of tornadoes here in Arizona. Isn't that nuts? I never would have thought. Well, I guess it's very, very rare. I can't say I never would have thought, but insane the weather, right? Louie says, John Popovich in the house. Hey, hey, I love all that you're rocking. I love that you're rocking out a podcast. Yes. Yes. Get out there and introduce yourself, whether it could be all of you watching YouTube videos, get on TikTok, do a podcast, whatever it's going to be, but get out there and let people hear you. Just another way to get those creative juices flowing and to let people hear what you can do. Absolutely. Mike Christensen says, I've gotten 95% of my jobs on Upwork over the last 2 months. I can't get any traction on Fiverr at all. Active versus passive, I guess. I submit a ton of proposals on Upwork. Yeah, with Fiverr, you're limited to 10 buyers' requests a day. So, but I have found that a lot of those requests are, I don't want to say vague, but sort of general, or they don't quite match what you're offering. I say still submit a bid on those buyers' requests. On Fiverr, for example, if they were looking for if I was looking at a buyer's request and the buyer's request was for a male voice, maybe a different sort of an accent than I can do, I would say, hey, I would submit a request and say, hey, um, I know you're looking for male and I'm not quite what you're looking for. However, please keep me in mind if you do have a need for a female with an American accent. I'm here. Here's a link to my demos. And whatever it is, introduce yourself. But you have 10 of those to submit every day on Fiverr. And that is another way that you can market yourself within Fiverr without, breaking any of the terms of service rules. So, but Upwork, yeah, you could submit a lot of proposals and um, you can also get invitations to interview on Upwork as well. So I guess you can do the same sort of with Fiverr. It's just you're going to have to sort of think outside the box with those buyers requests, but you have 10 of those you can submit every day for free. So I would definitely do that if you're looking for more traction on Fiverr, or share your gig, share the links to your gigs outside of Fiverr, share them on your social media, share them on your website, because that outside traffic from outside of Fiverr into Fiverr to your gig also helps boost your algorithm too, I feel, in Fiverr. But I mean, Upwork's been good to me too. But I have to say that it's probably it's coming in about third place for me now in terms of how I get my work. But it's a great place to get work. Louis says, yeah, you're right, Angela. I did mean to say what's up. Yeah. We all love VO Angela. I saw that I Love Lucy. You are so creative, Louis. You're so creative. Thanks, Louis. Yes. Then Louis says, it's so cool how we're able to post our audition samples. They all sound great. I'd be happy to leave a response for audition posts if I haven't already, leave me a DM. I'm happy to critique. That's nice of you, Louie. Yeah, and just so you know, what Louie is referring to is that I have a Facebook group called the VO Workshop, and I encourage you to submit demos there to let the other voice actors there in the group listen to it and critique it. Constructive criticism. And I say to do that because you get so accustomed to listening to yourself in your DAW, right? You might not hear a little bit of echo. You might not hear a little bit of tinniness. You might not hear something. You're like ear deaf to whatever the issue may be. So if you have other people with an experienced ear take a listen to your demo, they might hear something that you might need to be made aware of. And that way you can change it, fix it, whatever it is. But it's always good to have other sets of ears on your work, for sure. Just Big A. 0920 is my daughter's birthday. Oh, that's nice. All right, I'll call you Big A. Although I feel like I should be Big A. I'm going to fight you for it. I'll fight you for Big A. We can both be Big A. Janeri Rubio says, "Hi, Angela. How many samples should I send ACX?" I don't think that you're limited in samples that you can post on ACX, but I will tell you that what I have learned to do is that those samples, when you post them on ACX, they're posted chronologically. So if you post one today, like if you posted it right now, your sample would be at the top of the search, right? As soon as somebody goes in to look at samples available on ACX. So in essence, you could, at the end of the week, say you posted a bunch of samples today. By Friday, you could take those down and then repost them again and just recycle them. So they're up at the top of the list, and then add some new ones, take away some old ones, sort of recycle your samples. So you're constantly up at the top of the list, but still keep them pretty diversified, put samples up of different genres, different tones, different accents, and then also make sure that the titles of your samples are relevant to you and your read and your voice. Don't just say my audiobook demo. If I was a rights holder looking for a narrator, I wouldn't click on that because that doesn't tell me anything about you. It doesn't tell me if you're male, female, where you're from, what kind of accent you have, what kind of read this is. And a lot of the rights holders don't look at the filters. Some of them don't take the time to specify in the filters. They have drop downs. They can choose what kind of genre, what kind of read. Some of them don't do that. They just go into the, producers available for hire and just scroll through looking for a title that piques their interest. So keep that in mind, that your title is also very important for helping a rights holder find you. I am Paximus. Haha, noted. A cup of Java, contemplation, and time with Angela. Love it at Levitt's. I remember that commercial. Oh my gosh. Love it at Levitt's. Okay. Wolf Donovan says, "Morning all. Hope all is well for everyone. So far, so good, Wolf. Another full day. Another full day for me." Maria Vita. Hi. Hi, Maria. Thanks for joining. Thanks for stopping on by and saying hello. JCZ AOL says, "I recently purchased a new computer and I am interested in Adobe Creative Cloud. Is it a good deal? I am purchasing this for a current version of Audition and Photoshop." I loved having the whole Adobe suite because I know that you can get just Audition, just Photoshop, just Premiere Pro, but it makes more sense to have the entire suite for me because I use Premiere Pro, I use After Effects, I use Adobe Audition, obviously. And then I also use Acrobat, Adobe for PDFs. So that way I can sign NDAs and that sort of things. There's a lot of elements to having the entire suite that I really enjoy and really help me out in my business. So if you're going to be a voice actor, I would say having access to video editing software is going to be at some point important to expand your offerings to make you that much more valuable to your clients. If you can not only do the voiceover, but then also add the voiceover to the video or something of that nature. Video and audio tend to go hand in hand, right? So I think in that respect, having the entire Adobe suite for me has been, it makes more sense because I have a lot more apps at my fingertips to use for my business at a discounted price at that point, because you have, well, there's like 17 or 18 different apps in the Adobe suite. So um, as far as it being a good deal, what you think would be a good deal is different from what I would think would be a good deal. I think I'm not sure what the price actually is. I know what I'm paying for it, and I think it's like $50 a month. I think for the entire suite. I'm not sure what it is currently, but I think that's a good deal for all of the value that I get for, Adobe Audition, Premiere Pro, the Acrobat, After Effects, and everything else that's in there. So, I mean, take a look at it and see if it makes sense for you. Twisted681 says, hello, Angela. Hello, Twisted681. Morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Maria Vita says, my daughter's name is, really? I don't know if my mom's going to be happy about that. She chose my name thinking that it wasn't very popular. And then I'm seeing more and more Angelas as time goes on around. I don't know. It's not like I have a copyright on it. I just chill out. Chill out, Angela. But that's cool. Angelas unite. Doug Mack. Another question. Should I do a job because they want a person who sounds like a famous person, wanting audience to think it's them? Is it ethical? I think if the intention is that they're going to let it be known that you are an impersonator, I think that would be okay. If you're trying to be passed off as an actual actor or some other person, I wouldn't do it. I mean, this isn't famous people, but I've had people try to hire me to be their mom, calling them out of school and stuff like that. I will not. No, 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 no. Not going to do that. But in this case, for celebrity voices, I think as long as it's known that you are an impersonator, I think it would be okay. But that's a great question. Louis says at Grant Bunting, I liked your True Police Stories audio clip. Great niche. I look forward to more of them from you. Absolutely. Greg O'Donohue says, just received my first offer on Voice 123 for a video game. I don't know much about contracts. Should I send them something or do I wait for them to send one to me? I would definitely ask them about, for video games specifically, I would ask them about the contract. I would ask them about if there's any particulars. I would just ask them, hey, are you going to send me a contract? Because most of these voiceover sites are, you don't need to have actual contracts for them, but on something that's going to be on a video game, I would definitely reach out and just say, hey, are you going to be sending me one? Is there something you need me to sign for this? So reach out and ask. Ask the clients. What with Halloween fast approaching, I want to record some spooky stories, some Poe, maybe some H.P. Lovecraft to share with friends and to get some practice. I think you should. Make a YouTube channel, nothing but scary stories. Do it. Wolf Donovan, or a podcast. Wolf Donovan says, I send so many to Upwork, 0 hits. Same with ACX, nothing. My Fiverr is totally stagnant as well. Well, I would say definitely have someone take a listen to your demos or audio samples and see if there's something in the audio quality that you're just not hearing, like we were just talking, or like I was just talking about. There could be maybe noise or echo or something about the audio quality that's not winning you jobs. So if that is the case, I definitely have somebody take a listen to that and just see if there's something that you're missing that we can improve upon. Grant says, is it considered bad form to submit an audition you did on ACX as a sample on ACX? No, it's not bad form at all. I think we've all done it. I think they say that you can actually do that somewhere on ACX, that you can use your auditions as samples. I would. Absolutely. Kim. Hi, Angela. Hi, Kim. What do you use to invoice rights holders on ACX? Am I right in remembering we have to handle that and ACX does not? You are right. If it's a pay for production through ACX, you have to invoice the rights holder directly. If it's royalty share, ACX handles that because that's monies through Audible that they just, hold and then pay you out every month. But if it's a pay for production, a PFH, you need to invoice that rights holder. And you can also ask them for 50% upfront. I do. That gets rid of the scammers and ne'er-do-wells right from the jump. But you can use either QuickBooks, PayPal, whatever invoice, invoice, or what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever sort of business payment platform that you're using that gives you the ability, that has the ability to send invoices, but PayPal, QuickBooks, that's usually what I use. Just send them an invoice. Grant says, at Louie, thank you. No job so far, but I keep plugging on. Good. Keep plugging on because I remember listening to your demo, Grant. You was very good. So definitely, it's a numbers game. Just keep going. Just keep submitting. I am Paximus. Yes. You got my Love It at Levitt's reference. Your tips are very helpful for sure. My issue is setting aside enough time to record someone's audiobook right now, since I work as a sound engineer. You're also a mean drum player. I've seen your TikToks. Yeah, and audiobooks are a marathon. Audiobooks take a lot of time to produce. So definitely having um a schedule in mind for, like this day I have 2 hours. I'm blocking out 2 hours to work on my audiobook, and then you try to block that time out every day for yourself. But learning what those time blocks are or could be is definitely something to keep an eye on now. So you'll have an idea of how much time you do have to work on your audiobooks. But you are a little busy guy, a little busy bee. Allie, while I drink my coffee, I love that. Hi, Allie. I'm surprised you're here. You're a busy little bee, too. Busy little girl. Ashley Brooks says, hey, Angela. Also, my name is Ashley. So I totally get your frustration at a lot of people sharing your name. And it used to not be that way. There used to not be a whole lot of Angelas. And now there's a lot more than I think I've ever seen before. And that's okay. We should unite. Angelas unite. Ashleys unite. Lorna's Adventures After 50. Good morning, Angela and crew from Oregon. Been hot. Finally, brisk, good coffee, contemplating weather here. Took a bit to get the chat to work. My first VO work from employers voicemail e-learning. Oh, cool. For those of you that are just getting into voiceover and are still working 9 to 5, tell your employers, hey, I'm looking into doing this on the side. Would you mind if I recorded our phone messages? Why not? Get a little practice in. I love it. Michael V says, okay, I just posted a link to one of my samples to be critiqued in the VO workshop on Facebook. Good. For anybody in my Facebook group, go and check out Michael's demo and give him some feedback on it, please. Please. Louie says, Angela, tell us more about these requests you've turned down. That kid who tried to hire you to impersonate his mom to excuse him from school takes the cake. Give us at least two more. Requests that I've turned down for people trying to, well, oh gosh, they were sort of along the same vein. And there was they were basically people asking me to impersonate actual people. Not so much trying to sound like another voice actor. For example, If there's maybe a few e-learning modules done by this voice actor and they needed me to sound somewhat similar to continue on with an order, it wasn't anything like that. It was like true ethics, moral, me trying to impersonate a real actual person for a multitude of different reasons. I couldn't remember exactly what they were. But that is why I always say to ask questions. If you're not quite sure, it's okay to ask questions. Ask the client questions. I can't tell you how many times someone has reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have an audiobook that I need you to create because I just don't have the time to listen to this college textbook." Or I really have this book that I love and there's no audiobook version, but I'm not the author, but I want you to record this audiobook. And then I'd have to ask questions. Do you own the rights to this book? Where is this going to go? What is the purpose of this? Ask questions. Because if you ask, "Hey, do you own the rights to this book?" Well, no, it's a textbook. Well, it's under copyright by Scholastic or whomever owns the copyright. You can't reproduce it as an audiobook for personal use. It's under copyright, right? Or whatever the case may be, but it's okay to ask questions. And if it doesn't jive with you, the purpose of that voiceover or that recording, then just say no. It's perfectly okay. Right? Lady Lena says, "I don't use the sound booth, but my recording space is pretty quiet. Although things sound okay to me, I wonder about sound quality. Is there a cost-effective way to get feedback from a professional?" Um, mm, I don't know about cost effective because audio engineers are usually not cheap. It's the same, it's the adage, good is not cheap and cheap is not good. Right? Um, that is one of the reasons why I offer, people to post their demos and samples on my Facebook group. So that way there's, I think, 1,200 voice actors in my Facebook group now. So if you post your demo or your sample there for feedback, you have the educated ear of, 1,000 other voice actors to take a listen to it and tell you what they hear. There's nothing more cost effective than that, in my opinion. Right. But if you want the expertise of an audio engineer, you're going to have to pay for that expertise, right? It just is what it is. But even doing that is going to be worth it because they will help you. They'll like remotely get into your computer and help you with shortcuts and create EQs and stuff for you. So that is definitely something I wouldn't underestimate. It's definitely worth the investment to have an audio engineer help you out to fine tune your EQ and stuff for sure. That was a great question, Lena. Big A says, "Does using a dynamic or condenser mic make a difference, as opposed to what, like a USB mic?" I would say, mics have come a long way. Even USB mics have gotten a whole lot better than they were even just a few years ago. The technology it blows my mind. I bought this Sennheiser 416 probably 3 years ago now, and then about a year after I bought it, there was another company that came out with the Synco D2 that sounds fairly close to identical to this for a fraction of the cost. It's just insane the the technology that goes into these microphones and how good they sound. But, definitely a dynamic or a condenser mic for voiceover is going to be, preferred over, say, maybe, like a ribbon mic. Some shotguns, I like my shotgun because it works for my environment. But that's also something else that you need to take in consideration. I feel a tangent coming on. Am I derailing? The type of microphone is going to need to be considered for your space as well, meaning my space is sort of on the noisy side. So I opted for the shotgun mic because I wanted it to point directly at my mouth and not so much everything going on around it. And that also helps to reduce the noise floor also because it's not picking up other noises, just mainly what's in front of it. So take into consideration your space, your recording area, and see what kind of microphone works best for you. But I'm not exactly sure what you mean. LSK says, "Hi there, Angela." Hi there, LSK. Thanks for joining. I am Paximus says, "Thank you, Angela. Is there another way to get our sample demo critiqued without joining Facebook? Not on that platform and not really wanting to join, but if I needed to, I could." Um, oh, I just saw that, Sean Lester. Thank you for the super chat. You're amazing. I appreciate you, Sean Lester. You rock. For sample demo, I think you could probably find um people willing to give you critiques on other platforms. I know there's a lot going on Discord these days. Um, Paying an audio engineer to critique your demo and then help you to make it sound better. I think, but joining a platform on social media and having your peers give you feedback is probably going to be the most cost effective way to do it. But I get the whole I don't want to be on social media thing. I get that, but it's kind of the nature of the beast, right? If you're creating a business, you need to get out there and have people find you to be accessible and to be heard and found on social media. But not so sure about that. I mean, apart from social media, you might just need to hire someone directly, maybe to give you feedback. Briscoe VO says, "Hi, Angela. I haven't been here in a while. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to have you back. Good to hear you. I have received work a bunch of different ways from LinkedIn, Facebook, agents, groups I'm in. Dan Leonard does a $25 assessment." Oh, well, there you go. Dan Leonard does a $25 assessment of your demos, recording space, samples. There you go. Big A means I mean XLR wise. I have a dynamic XLR mic. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the difference between the condenser and the dynamic. I want to say that most of what you're going to find in a voiceover studio is going to be either a dynamic or a condenser mic. I want to say more condenser than dynamic. But again, it's just going to depend on what sounds better for your voice, your space, you know. I've even had somebody tell me that shotgun mics aren't good for voiceover. And there's tons of voice actors that use this 416, the Sennheiser 416. So it just, whatever works for you. There's no, right way or wrong way to go about it, right? Doug Mack says, "My father in the 40s sang in clubs in the style of Nat King Cole and others because they couldn't afford the real person. Is that ethical in VO? I was wondering." Um, again, if it was someone saying, if the client hiring you is making it clear that you are an impersonator, I would say that's okay. That's a question of your own, a question that you need to answer. If that is ethical for you, for me, I would not, unless it was clear that I was an impersonator, that I was not trying to be, I don't even know who I sound like. But let's just say someone tried to hire me to sound like Christina Aguilera, would never happen. But I would want to make sure that whoever was listening to my voice understood that I was not Christina Aguilera, that I was me as an impersonator of hers, right? I wasn't really her. Personal opinion. Tim Field says, "Morning, Angela. What is the exact name of your VO Facebook group?" It's called the VO Workshop. That is my Facebook page. Oh, you know what? Where are we doing on time here? Okay, we're all right. We're good. So I'm gonna run over to the poll really quick. Let's check out the poll. So today's poll again was, where did it go? There it is. Where does most of your VO or audiobook work come from? And let's look at the poll here. 37 votes. So it looks like 78% of you said freelance sites, meaning Fiverr, ACX, Upwork, freelancer.com, Guru, all of those. So it looks like the vast majority of you get your site from freelance sites or get your work from freelance sites. 8% of you said direct clients or email. 3% of you said agents. And 11% of you said VO casting sites, like VO specific sites like voices.com, Voice123, VoQuint, Voice Jungle, Voice Bunny, Voice Giant. There's a ton of them. But I think that's from the people that I know, that's pretty typical. I would say a lot of it comes from freelance sites and not just one. Make sure you're diversifying. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. But most of us, I think, come from freelance marketplace sites. And then you've got a little bit from agents and a little bit from VO casting sites. So I think it's a nice mix, but that's kind of how I thought it was going to go for the poll. 79% of you freelance sites. Yeah. That's pretty typical. And thank you everybody for taking part of the poll. I appreciate you. All right, where did we leave off? Here we go. Lady Lena says, thanks so much, Angela. I never considered posting a sample to your Facebook group. Joining today. Cool beans. Yep. You can totally do that there. I'm not super picky about what you post. As long as it's not spammy or, the Facebook group is there for, everybody to help everybody else. Sort of what I'm doing here on YouTube is for voice artists who are interested in learning and then also in turn helping others that are maybe where they first started, giving back and helping, paying it forward in their own right. So, and I also have like a mentorship group or a mentorship program in my Facebook group where peers mentor other peers. You can post your samples and your demos and get feedback on them, share some wins, share some failures. It's a place where I just want everybody to be comfortable, right? I don't really want, I'm going off on another tangent. I'm just going to stop it there. Michael V says, generally speaking, condenser mic is more sensitive and will have a lower self noise, where a dynamic is not as sensitive, but can have a bit more self noise. True. Very true. And mics, the self noise from mic to mic will also vary. So that's another thing to take into consideration. If your space is naturally very quiet, you could probably get away with a mic with a higher self noise. Although for me in my space, noise was definitely an issue. So I was very careful in selecting this particular microphone because of its low self noise and because of its, pattern. It's a shotgun. It's just picking up directly what's in front of it. So that helped to reduce the noise. But you're right, condensers are definitely more sensitive. And probably most most voice actors I know have either a condenser or a shotgun mic. And a condenser is see, now I'm getting into particulars. I need more coffee. How about that? I just need more coffee. Oh, and then Big A says, thanks, Michael. Yeah, I just didn't word my question right. Okay, so Michael understood what you meant. Briscoe says, recording space. Did I miss something? Oh, for the assessment, for the $25 assessment, Dan Leonard does a $25 assessment of your recording space. That's good to know. That's definitely good to know. Oops, I skipped one. Sorry, Sean. Do you do anything just for practice, such as a musician might do? No. In the beginning, I did. I started to do some. I would take books in the public domain, like I have Alice in Wonderland, and I have a few other books that I started to read for YouTube and then post them chapter by chapter on a YouTube channel for fun, for funsies and to see how well it would do. But I don't really do anything for fun voiceover wise right now. I'm pretty busy in here with voiceover work, audiobooks, with mentor meetings, group meetings. So I'm in here a lot. I don't really have a whole lot of free time. But what I do when I do have time is to read for personal enjoyment. I have a few different books that I'm in the middle of, but not so much for practice, fortunately. Michael V says, I have a Discord server of audio engineers that have been trained through closing credits, part of Casting Call Club, so I can possibly connect VO talent with an engineer if interested. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Michael. So, Discord server of audio engineers. Interesting. It would be something really interesting to find. I might have to go and find them. And then John says, at Michael V is on track with this. Dynamic mics were designed to withstand rock band tours. They're rugged and tough. Condenser mics are best for indoor studio quietude. I like that. Quietude. Michael V says could probably do training on mic stuff. There you go, Michael. Get like some YouTube training videos out there. Do it. I am Paximus. I'm telling you, Angela, Tuesdays are for Java contemplation and time with Angela. That's fine. I like that. I like to have some time with all of you guys. I appreciate the time you take to hang out with me for an hour or so every Tuesday. Dale, is it Nahizer? Nahizer. I hope I'm saying that right. Hey, Angela, how many freelancer sites are you on? And is one a standout above the others business-wise? There are hundreds of freelancer sites. Tons of them. But I think for me, the ones that I find the most work on are Fiverr and Upwork. And not so much ACX because most of my audiobooks come from platforms off of ACX. So Fiverr, Upwork, and then I have a lot of clients that have found me directly through my YouTube channel. Believe it or not, lots of audiobooks, voicemails, medical narration, all through my YouTube channel. So that's why I always say never underestimate the power of social media. But Fiverr for sure, I think, is going to have to be the clear winner here as far as freelance sites go. Yep. Lots and lots of clients on Fiverr. For sure. And it takes Fiverr is one of those ones that you really have to stay on top of because they want to make sure that you're replying to people quickly. So you have standards that you have to keep. And there are global clients, right? So you might have somebody message you while you're asleep on the other side of the world while they're awake and in the office. So it's a little bit difficult in the beginning to keep on top of those. But once you get to a top rated seller, then, then you start to get repeat clients and you have a nice little book of clients that come back to you every couple of months or, every week, even for more work. It gets really nice. But again, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Definitely diversify. Definitely aspire to have an agent at some point. Get onto the VO casting sites, voices.com, voice123, directly market. You don't want to just solely rely on freelance marketplace sites. But if you're just starting out, Fiverr would be a good one to have a couple of gigs on for sure. Oops, wrong one. Sue Shiel, do you edit your book after a batch of chapters or at the end when the book is done? Do you just run Isotope or do you still do majority manual editing? Depending on my time, depending on how much time I have with this book. Now, mind you, I usually have 2 or 3 books in queue all the time. So I'm usually doing them in pieces not in wholes, right? Like I won't finish this book completely. Like I'll be narrating this book, but then editing this book. So depending on what I'm doing in the day, um, but generally I'll record an entire chapter and then I'll process it and edit it. But I'm just reading over your question one more time at the end of the do you run isotope is just one of the few effects that I run on every single chapter. So I use NS1, which is a noise reduction plugin from Waves. I use isotope, mouth declick, deplosive, and I think that's it for RX10 or isotope rather. And then a few other there's an EQ through Adobe Audition that I use. So I have a effect rack that I use on every single chapter, and isotope is only a couple of those effects. But it's definitely getting isotope is definitely worth it if you're looking for mouth click removal. Absolutely. But manual editing in terms of removing mistakes, I still do that. I use the clicker method. When I make a mistake, I have a clicker that I just click so I can mark the mistake. Whoops. I don't do punch and roll. I know a lot of people are starting to convert over that way, but I just don't think I'm coordinated enough for that. But that is about it for the manual part. I remove my mistakes, remove any big breaths or, if I'm smacking the mic like I just did and maybe I didn't catch it while I was narrating, I can remove that at that time. So I still do manual editing, but I've gotten my process streamlined enough where it doesn't take me as much time. Like my process is basically, my ratio is about 1 to 1, maybe 1 to 1.5. So for every finished hour, it takes me about an hour to narrate and edit it. So I've got my process down. I've whittled it down to as streamlined as I can get it. I got to stop going off on tangents, people. Yeah. Briscoe VO, are there any e-learning specific sites you can recommend? None that I know of that are specific to e-learning. If you're looking for e-learning specifically, I would start making connections on LinkedIn with e-learning production companies of the, reaching out to the people that are in charge of casting for those, if that's what you want to do directly. But I don't know if there are any specific sites that are just e-learning. But you can find e-learning pretty much anywhere. Fiverr, Upwork, voices.com, Voice123. Any of the casting sites that you go to, you'll find e-learning work there. Where did I leave off? There we go. Michael V, I have been doing this VO since April 2019. I haven't done any work because I don't know how to market, lazy, insecure, insert whatever excuse here. Michael, unfortunately, marketing, making yourself visible are part of what you need to do. I started in June of 2018, so I don't have that much time on you. And I've gotten to where I am now by stepping out of my comfort zone. And as an introvert, it was very, very hard to do some of the things that I have to do. They're very draining of my energy, but you have to do them. Excuse me. As a business owner, you have to be visible. You have to have people find you or allow people to find you. And I'm losing my voice already. That's not good. Goodness. But you already know what's holding you back. So it's up to you to make the decision to overcome those insert excuse here and move past it and start really applying yourself to move forward. One of the basic rules of business is you get in you get out what you put in, right? What seeds you sow today, you may reap tomorrow, you may reap in a month, you may reap in 2 years. But every little bit of progress is still a step forward in your business, but you have to keep moving forward. and branching out and planting those seeds. You can do it as fast or as slow as you want to. Just keep doing it. Just keep moving forward. But it already sounds like you have a plan. You know what to do. You just need to do it. So do it. So just do it, Michael. We're all behind you. Just do it. You've got all of us here. Just do it. We'll support you, Michael. John Bergstead says, regarding Isotope RX10, FYI, price just jumped yesterday from sale $299 to regular $399. But keep an eyeball on it because they have sales a lot. So just keep watching it. Usually around November, everybody has Black Friday sales. So just keep watching it. Leslie says, what is better to address sibilants, EQ or manual edit? EQ. For me, EQ. There is a way, depending on your DAW, there is a way that you may be able to reduce it in your EQ frequencies. There's a lot of variables here, so I can't get too specific, but for me personally, I have Adobe Audition and I have an EQ setting that addresses my sibilants by finding the frequency of where the sibilance lies or lives. And, reducing that particular frequency will reduce the sound of sibilants. There are also a lot of plugins available to help reduce sibilants. They're usually referred to as DS, right? Or another thing that I had to do was learn how to speak less sibilant, maybe to hold your teeth a little further apart so you're not as sibilant. But I get it. I'm a very sibilant person. So there's a few different ways to go about it. Louis says, Michael V, malnetworked. Join marketing groups, get a feel for what to ask a marketer you can outsource. You can get a campaign running for about $250 or less a month. Marketing groups. Interesting. Your wealth of knowledge, Louis. Edwin00 says, no, you don't, Angela. Spill those hot Angela rambling. Oh my God. Okay. Spill those hot Angela rambling full of VO knowledge tidbits. Punch fear in the face. Woot, woot. God, don't encourage me to ramble because then I'm going to feel okay to ramble. I don't want to ramble. I don't want to just throw up all over you guys. But, oh my gosh, my brain sometimes. That was hilarious. Thank you, Edwin. And Ashley says, do you have a voice exercise routine before beginning your day? Does yelling at my son to get ready for school in time count? Typically, the first script of the day, I'll use that. So once I get into my studio and I sit down, I get everything turned on, the first order of the day, I'll pull up that script and I'll use that I'll read through it a few times in my head, then out loud, just to sort of work out all of the morning gook bugs. You can do tongue twisters. It's really up to you what you want to do. But for me, I'll just use whatever script I have or audiobook. I'll just read it out loud and sort of exercise the mouth, stretch things around, work out your body if you want to before you come into the studio. Go do a jog, sit on that stationary bike, go take a walk, do your yoga or your Pilates or whatever you're going to do. And at the same time, hum, do tongue twisters. I mean, get creative, work a little bit of a warm-up routine into your routine. I know we're all just so finding any kind of extra time in the day is just so hard anymore. So do what you can do to make it work. But that's generally what it is for me, is getting everybody out of the house on time in the morning and then just using the first script of the day and reading it out loud a few times. Works for me most of the time. Tim Field says, wow, thanks for that advice you gave Michael V. I'm an introvert myself. Maybe we should change our name to Rad Introvert Nerd Tribe. Right? Instead of Rad Nerd Tribe, we could be the Rad Introvert Nerd Tribe. That's it right there. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. There it is. James Park. I understand the hesitation, Michael. I'm in the same boat. There's an old saying that goes, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. And if you really don't, you'll find an excuse. Well said, James. Well said, James. But Michael, if this is something that you truly want to do, you know what to do. So go do it. Right? Just do it. Take all those excuses, put them aside. No, 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 no. No fear, not today. Not today. We're doing this today. So go do it. Right? I am Paximus. Introvert here. That advice is very helpful, Angela. I am unsure of my voice on audiobook, so I'm recording an audiobook for fun for now. And there's nothing wrong with that. You'll learn a lot by just recording an audiobook for yourself too. That's one of the things that I say to do in the beginning. If you're just kind of starting out and not quite sure if this is narrating audiobooks, if that is something that you want to do, volunteer to narrate audiobooks. You go to LibriVox.org and volunteer to narrate a chapter or a book in the public domain. And in doing that, you'll go through all of the steps of creating an audiobook, the narrating, the editing, the formatting, and you'll really get a feel for, is this something that I'm really willing to do? Because audiobooks are a lot more work than they appear to be at first glance, right? So, but there's a lot of learning to be done and just going through the motions, producing an audiobook for fun. There's a lot to be learned from that. So that's not a bad thing. James says, I'm here for the Angela's for the Tangulance, voiceover Tangela. Oh my God. Oh my God. Don't tell me that you appreciate my tangents because there will be more of them. You're inviting more tangents. Gosh. Voiceover Tangela. Rad introvert nerd tribe works for me. Good, Michael. I love it. Love it. Dale says, for me, warm-ups are hot coffee, chew gum, and sing the ABC song. See, there you go. That could be your warm-up routine could be anything that you need it to be, just as long as you're vocalizing something and getting yourself moving, preferably your face, even your whole body helps to warm up your entire person. But you definitely want to work out the morning gook, get everything in your face warm and limber, perhaps is a good word. But coffee is a must. Actually, I was thinking that this morning. I have all of these things were running through my head. I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, but first, coffee. Everything else is going to have to wait until I have my cup of coffee. Rad introvert nerd tribe. See? It works, right? It rolls off the tongue. I love it. Zombie Corn says, does Adobe Audition do any audio processing prior to you applying your effects as you've shown in your past videos? I.e., can I record outside of Audition first and then import and process an Audition? It does not do any kind of processing prior to applying your effects. It records in RAW and then you apply the effects, right? So you can, in essence, do the same. So if you wanted to record on GarageBand on a completely different computer and then send that audio file to your Adobe Audition and then open it in Adobe Audition, you could apply those effects to that file too. So you can import just about any audio file into Adobe Audition. It supports a lot of different formats. And no, that was a video. I was trying to think of I want to say that there was an audio file that I could not get to open in Adobe Audition, but there are like file converters out there, I think it's freeconvert.com, Cloud Converter. There's websites out there where you can actually convert the file format into one that can be read by Adobe Audition. So I don't think there's anything that you can't open in Adobe Audition without a little bit of help sometimes, but you can add those process effects that you have in Adobe Audition to any file in Adobe Audition. Faux show. James Park says, what do we say to the god of fear? Not today. Love that, James. Michael V. I'm going to record books for my new grandson who is on the other side of the country. I love that. I love that. Do it. Do it, Michael. And then share some files with us. I would love to hear that. Doug Mack says, I like doing a quick script. Books seem to take me so much time. Does it really to invest a whole week in one project? Does it really to invest at whole week in one project? I'm not sure what you mean there, but some books can take months. Some books can take months to narrate and then edit, format. Absolutely. Quick scripts are nice too, but books are a lot of work for sure. James says, I expect Louie to be producing Rad Introvert Nerd Tribe t-shirts soon. I wouldn't put it past him, although I think that might be another t-shirt design for me for sure, because I like it. All right, I got to get going. I got work to do. So let's finish up this last comment here. Lorna's Adventures After 50. LibriVox weekly readings and long projects have really helped me find what I enjoy and apply skills on DAW. Forums are very kind, book type endless. I have read chapters and gone, nope, after. LibriVox I think, was huge for me. And after I narrated some of the chapters and, volunteered my time for LibriVox, I learned that I can format, edit, and master files. Maybe not the best that I ever have, but I could do it. And then in knowing that I could do it, I could format them correctly was enough of a confidence boost for me to go out and feel more comfortable about doing this for pay, for listing myself on ACX and for auditioning for books on ACX. But having that confidence to do it came from LibriVox.org. For sure. I love it. I learned so much by doing that. Does it pay to invest in one long project? It can. I wouldn't say that would be the only job that you have. You could have one long-term project like an audiobook and then have several other projects come in, because you're not going to be working on that audiobook all day, I wouldn't think. You need to save this. You don't want to be stressing your voice out by reading or narrating nonstop for 8 hours. So you'll have a few hours of narrating, a few hours of editing, and then maybe another hour of, maybe recording some phone messages or some e-learning or a commercial or whatever it is. But it can pay to have a few long-term projects and then, some shorter ones also. Zombie Corn says, my computer is in an open, echoey room and went the starter route and set up my chair, mic, and phone in the coat closet. Reliable. There's a lot of people who start out in the coat closet, and some have really made it work. But again, there's just so many different variables to it. Some don't have doors, some have hardwood floors, some just don't have enough wall treatment, so there's a little bit of an echo. But I did the same thing. When I first jumped into this, I was trying to record in my living room at the dining room table, because it's like one big great room, with a USB mic and absolutely no padding at a giant window behind me, on a glass table. I was an idiot. I didn't know what I didn't know. And that's completely normal. It was months later when I figured out, okay, I need to be in a room sort of isolated with treated walls and the computer outside the room. I didn't know what I didn't know, right? None of us do. So don't hold that against yourself. We all go through that. Yes, I want to do this, and you just kind of learn as you go along. Ashley says, thanks, Angela. It was great hanging out with you. It was great hanging out with you. I'm glad you were here. That goes for all of you, for my rad introvert nerd tribe. Mike Christensen says, thanks, Angela. See you next week. See you next week, everybody. John Popovich says, I think Doug means it was worth it to invest the time in doing audiobooks. Doug, I would say yes. If you do the math of per hour edited and read, you can see what will make if it makes sense. Yes. And in the beginning, it's okay to not charge a whole bunch for audiobooks. As you get better and more confident and you streamline your process so it doesn't take as much time to produce an audiobook, you start to increase your rates. And then it really becomes worth it. Or if you just love audiobooks, it's worth it anyway, right? I am Paximus. Thank you so much, Angela, for your time and helpful advice. Truly appreciate. I appreciate you. You guys are awesome. Louis says, "LOL, James." Leslie says, "Thanks, great info and so much fun." I try. John Bergstead says at Zombiecorn, in case you are a Mac user, know that Twisted Wave has a remote feature that will let you start and stop recording from another room, then transfer to Audition for post if needed. Interesting. So many little nuances to Macs, but I'll stick with PC. Doug says, thanks, John and Angela. You betcha. Zombiecorn. John Bergstead, thanks. I found that Google Pixel has a super easy recorder that posts to the cloud and then can download, convert, and process. Interesting. See, everybody that visits and chats and participates, everybody has their own little nuggets to provide to the community here. So I thank you all for that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I will be back next week. Say it with me. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you again for everybody for joining. And yeah, we'll see you next week. And bye.